So we're in London at Ovum's headquarters. I'm here with Daniel Gleeson. He's the smartphone expert at Ovum. Daniel, good to see you.
Good morning.
So, Mobile World Congress, the usual haunt that we all head to in late February each year. Obviously, last year and again this year, 5G is going to be the overarching sort of the topic, the trend that people will be talking about at the show. But in terms of the devices, what can we expect to hear about or even see at this year's Barcelona show?
Well, for starters, this year is the year for 5G on devices. Last year it was all very much centered on the networks, about operators getting moving on how to build up the networks. But now we're finally at the point where their networks are definitely happening and the devices are coming, and we're going to see the announcement of the first 5G devices, the first 5G smartphones at the event. We're expecting things definitely from a lot of the Chinese vendors like Xiaomi and Huawei to announce 5G handsets, and probably even Samsung will tease a 5G handset that it will be releasing later in the year. So that will be the main thing, that even though 5G, there'll be a lot of devices being talked about it, even though there'll be announcements, but those devices won't be released probably until the late second half of the year.
Right, okay.
That it's just a case of people trying to get the word out first, to get that PR boost, to get that attention on them.
But there'll be examples, people will be able to touch them, because up to now a lot of the tests with 5G has been like, oh, which device are you testing with? Oh, it's on this trolley over here, let me bring it over. We're talking about actual a smartphone device.
Yeah, exactly. Like Huawei only announced a few weeks ago of a new modem chip, the Balong 500, that it's going to be putting into its smartphones. Qualcomm announced new modems as well a few months ago. So all of the kind of surrounding infrastructure and surrounding ecosystem is coming together. Obviously, the big questions around 5G smartphones is around battery life. How much extra battery drain is the 5G modem going to make on the device, and how that is going to impact performance.
Okay, and what's your view on that? I mean, do you think do you think that the battery capabilities have advanced enough for this not to be something that would put off consumers from buying these devices?
Well, actually, probably I think the main issue with this, or probably one of the main things that's going to help manufacturers, has been the leaps and bounds that have been made in the past 2 years in particular in AI algorithms on devices. Because one of the main uses that manufacturers have used AI has been in power optimization and in extending battery life. It's something that Huawei in particular has put a very, very strong focus on with its Kirin 980 chipsets with the inbuilt neural engine. And it's been something that there's been a lot of focus on. So that's, to me, something that even if the 5G modems are a significant power drain, that the manufacturers are in a much, much better place to be able to manage that drain and to actively manage the radio when it's on, when it's off, in a much, much more intelligent manner than they were 10 years ago when 4G devices first came to market. Okay,
really interesting. And in terms of 5G devices, of course, a question that a lot of people will be asking, I'm sure, is, when might Apple have a 5G device on the market? What's your expectation there?
Definitely not in 2019. That's the first thing to say. Whether it's 2020 or 2021, probably a bit more up in the air. My leaning would be towards 2020. Apple has always been a little bit slower when it comes to pushing new technologies into their phones. It kind of wants to get things not just at the right cost point for itself, but also to have a very good and very high level of experience with it. So for Apple, in terms of in deploying 4G, or in this case deploying 5G into their handsets, the main thing it's looking for is it wants to have very well developed networks. It wants to have subscriptions, that will have 5G at fairly common level, so that when they advertise a 5G phone, someone's going to be able to pick it up, turn it on, and immediately see a difference. Whereas if you buy a 5G phone in the next 6 months, odds are you are not going to have a 5G network.
It'll be a 4G phone.
Exactly, for 99% of your time. So that's kind of the expectation gap that Apple is trying to not have to deal with. And it's up to this point in its life, or in the iPhone life cycle, Apple's been by far and away the brand leader, the premium leader, the experience leader, that it has had that comfort to be able to do that, and it hasn't affected sales.
Yeah.
Of course, sales of iPhones have taken a bit of a hit recently with everything that's happened in China, but even with that, that premium handset market has topped out anyway. So Apple is probably going to be under a lot more pressure now than it has been previously to kind of be in step with the market and not fall behind what everyone else is doing, which is why I very much lean towards 2020 rather than 2021 for when we'll see 5G on iPhone.
Okay, interesting. And although 5G will dominate and the big excitement I'm sure will be around the early 5G handsets, what else are you expecting to hear people talking about in terms of devices at MWC?
The other big thing that we're going to see a lot of people talk about and a lot of devices shown off at MWC is with foldable displays. It's been something that has been rumoured and in the works for years now at this point, and we're finally getting to see devices coming to market at MWC with it.
Okay.
We're going to see probably Xiaomi and Samsung at the very least, probably Huawei as well, with foldable displays, and probably more device makers as well. The key issue here, though, to me, is not do these devices exist. It's can they make the software and the user experience mesh well, and can they make actual beneficial use of the foldable display to build new experiences? Because that's always been the biggest struggle for so many of the Android manufacturers, Samsung in particular, when they've had new hardware technologies. They are fantastic engineering companies, but when it comes to building something that integrates that into a user experience, they fall behind. Particularly, that's Apple's strength in terms of integrating that user experience. So that's the big thing I want to see, is how is the user experience using the foldable screen to its benefit.
Okay, excellent. Well, sounds like there's going to be plenty to keep you busy in Barcelona for a full week, and look forward to seeing what you take away from the show. Daniel, thank you very much.
Thank you.